I think a lot of people misunderstood what I was actually trying to say in my Tiffany Hayes video. Yesterday I made a video about Tiffany Hayes engaging with fans on social media after her back and forth with Caitlin Clark during the Fever and Valkyries' most recent game. I was using that example to make a broader point about how the WNBA players, media, and fans all interacting with each other on social media actually makes the game more accessible compared to other sports. In hindsight, that wasn't the best example to build my point around because I wasn't trying to defend or endorse anything Tip Hayes said in those comments.
That was Grant Young, a prominent writer for Sports Illustrated. And what you just witnessed is a member of the mainstream media backpedaling at 90 miles an hour after getting absolutely destroyed for a classic out-of-touch take on Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever. Make no mistake, Grant Young put out a ridiculous video downplaying the constant, relentless social media shots being fired at Caitlin Clark by players like Tiffany Hayes. But when the fans and independent creators called him out on his nonsense, what did he do? He ran away, he blocked his critics, and then he put out this desperate apology video, trying to claim he was misunderstood. Here is the thing you need to understand. The mainstream sports media thought they could control the narrative around this generational rookie. They thought they could dismiss the blatant disrespect Caitlin Clark faces every single day from veterans across the league. But the fans aren't buying it anymore. The audience is smarter than these credentialed writers, and when you put out a garbage take to minimize the heat Clark takes, you are going to get cooked online. But that is not even the worst part. Watch what happens next.
All right, Black and White sports supporters. Well, my God, I hadn't planned on making another video about this, to be quite honest. But the Sports Illustrated writer, Grant Young, who has now blocked me on Twitter X because he got roasted the other day over a really poor take he made on the Tiffany Hayes, Caitlin Clark fiasco. Okay, he blocked me. He went out there and made a video.
Let me tell you something right now. The independent sports media is not backing down, and the mainstream writers are absolutely terrified. The clip you just saw is from the powerhouse channel Black and White Sports, led by host John Matrix, who has been pulling zero punches for 6 straight years. They signal-boosted Grant Young's original take, exposed it to over 150,000 passionate basketball fans, and completely blew the lid off this entire fiasco. This is the new reality in sports discourse. The legacy media can no longer hide behind their corporate credentials when they disrespect Caitlin Clark or ignore the toxic environment surrounding her. When Sports Illustrated writers put out poor takes on the Caitlin Clark versus Tiffany Hayes situation, the fans are going to mobilize, independent creators are going to make videos, and the truth is going to come out. It is a bad look for the establishment, and they are completely unequipped to handle the heat.
Now, listen, Grant. Myself and my partner, John Matrix, have been destroying members of the media for the last 6 years. You got a little dose of what we've given Stephen A. Smith, ESPN, you name it. Insert media personality here. You just happen to come across the WNBA space, which I happen to talk about.
Look at the sheer arrogance of the mainstream media on display here. Grant Young spent years thinking he could write whatever he wanted without any real pushback. But he stepped into the WNBA space, a space that has been completely transformed by the arrival of Caitlin Clark. And he tried to play the same old corporate media games. He tried to minimize the tension. He tried to act like veteran players treating Clark like a punching bag on social media is just harmless, healthy interaction that makes the game more accessible. What a total joke. It is not accessible. It is a coordinated campaign of disrespect against a rookie who just brought millions of dollars and unprecedented television ratings to their league. And what comes next is the moment that broke this whole thing wide open.
I do have one major problem with something that was said in this video. Because he is trying to claim that he is getting death threats, I guess, or whatever threats, and it's because of our videos. No, Jack. People are just, you got bad people out there that are going to say really dumb shit. Oh, and he made fun of my appearance. Dude, I roasted you. I sure did.
Make no mistake. Calling the intense backlash from sports fans a series of personal attacks is the ultimate victim card. When Sports Illustrated writer Grant Young realized his take was completely indefensible, he didn't just apologize. He went on video and tried to claim that independent channels and their viewers were sending him death threats and attacking his parents. Let that sink in. A national sports writer gets brutally roasted for a terrible basketball take, and instead of taking his medicine like a man, he tries to blame independent creators for inciting violence. It is an absolute lie. Not a single creator called for harassment. They did what sports talk radio hosts have done for 50 years. They dissected a bad opinion and blew it out of the water. If you choose this profession, if you put yourself out there publicly on social media, you are subject to get roasted when you miss the mark. You don't get to cry foul and play the victim just because the fans completely cooked you.
Nobody is going to condone you receiving death threats. Nobody. But not a single person that made a video about you called for violence against you or incited violence or called for death threats or none of that. None of us did that. Frankly, I think you ought to make a video retracting that. I think it would be a good idea because it's a bad look. Ain't none of us can control what other people say about.
Nobody in their right mind condones real violence or threats. No legitimate sports creator is ever going to support that. But let's be entirely real here. There is a massive difference between a handful of anonymous internet trolls saying dumb things in a comment section and a coordinated campaign by creators to incite harm. Grant Young tried to tie the entire independent sports community to a few crazy yahoos online because he couldn't handle the massive wave of public disagreement. The reality is simple. His video got signal boosted. More eyes came to his content, and the overwhelming majority of those eyes saw a writer trying to excuse the disrespect aimed at Caitlin Clark. He simply did not like the response. He didn't like the fact that the public stands firmly with Clark, and he couldn't handle the heat in the kitchen.
By the way, Grant, I've gotten death threats multiple times in the last 6 years. The Black Militia threatened me at one point when I was covering politics. Oh, you didn't know that? How about Angel Reese fans threatened me and my wife? Oh, you didn't know that either. You're in the...
Welcome to the big leagues, Jack. The host of Black and White Sports laid it out perfectly right there. Real sports media personalities face intense backlash every single day. They get targeted by radical political groups. They get targeted by toxic fan bases like the Angel Reese crowd. And they deal with actual, genuine threats to their families. They don't run away and block everyone on Twitter. They understand it is part of the job when you have strong, uncompromising opinions in the public square. But these modern corporate writers are incredibly soft. They want all the prestige of their media credentials. They want the special access to the locker rooms. But the second the public calls them out for a classless take on a generational star, they crumble. Because the real story isn't just what happened tonight. It's what this means for everything coming next.
And I don't know about the other guys. I don't appreciate that, really and truly, because it's a lie. If you're saying creators out of their mouths called for something to happen to you, you are lying in public on video to people. Now, if some dumbass Yahoo that's out of his mind, one of, I don't know how many people watch those videos combined, 150,000? You got one Yahoo or two Yahoos on social media that are out of their minds decide to say something really nasty and ugly to you?
When you look at the numbers, it tells the whole story. Over 150,000 people tuned into this specific media feud in less than 48 hours. Why? Because the sports public is completely fed up with the establishment media carrying water for the players who hate on Caitlin Clark. The fans see right through it. They saw Tiffany Hayes engaging in petty back and forths after the Fever games. They saw a Sports Illustrated writer try to normalize it. And they watched independent media completely dismantle the narrative. This is a massive victory for common-sense sports fans. The independent platforms are growing at an exponential rate because they give the raw, unfiltered truth, while the legacy writers are left clinging to their credentials, begging for mercy, and demanding retractions for things nobody even said.
And unfortunately for Grant, the one thing he did yet again was he's bragging about his media credentials. And I told Rudy this morning, I said, I got a lot of respect for you in the media. And I'm talking about Rudy because Rudy pulls no punches. If the entire media space had guys like Rudy, I'd be all about the media. But guys like Grant, no, I don't have to. I don't have to respect that space he's in.
This isn't the first time the sports media establishment has tried to bury a generational talent or shield the league's toxic culture from criticism. Back in 1997, when Cynthia Cooper was dominating the early days of the WNBA, she had to deal with an immense amount of jealousy and disrespect from peers who resented her immediate success. Back in 2008, Candace Parker was treated the exact same way during her historic rookie season, facing physical overaggression on the court and a cold shoulder from the media elite. The pattern throughout women's basketball history is undeniably clear. When an elite player threatens the existing power structure and commands all the media attention, the old guard closes ranks. We saw it decades ago, we saw it with past legends, and we are seeing it right now with Caitlin Clark. The only difference today is that corporate writers can no longer control the gates. The independent media has given the fans a massive megaphone to fight back.
Compared to other sports. In hindsight, that wasn't the best example to build my point around because I wasn't trying to defend or endorse anything Tip Hayes said in those comments. In fact, I disagree with what she said and should have made that more clear. Because my point was about the interaction itself and how it illustrates the league's unique connectivity between fans and players. I didn't feel a need to address the comments directly, which might have been a mistake. I was just trying to make an observation about the ecosystem itself, and honestly, the reaction that this video has gotten kind of proved the point I was making. Because now people are making entire podcasts about me and my video. To be clear, people absolutely have the right to disagree with me because that's a part of sports discourse, but there's a difference between criticism and escalation. And the fact that these podcasts are spreading misinformation about my credentials, my background, making attacks about my personal appearance, and the fact that I've gotten death threats today because of them.
And look at how deep this media divide actually goes. It isn't just independent YouTube channels calling out this behavior. The tension is rippling through the highest levels of sports broadcasting. When legendary insiders and Hall of Famers speak out on their own platforms, they acknowledge the unprecedented hostility Clark faces. When elite basketball minds are forced to publicly address the flagrant fouls, the petty social media comments, and the biased reporting, it validates everything the fans have been saying since May. 2026 has become the year of the great media awakening, and establishment writers like Grant Young are completely caught in the crossfire of their own making.
I mean, is it because you're young? I don't know. That you literally was like, you're under attack? Dude, you said something stupid online and fans cooked you over it. What did you think was going to happen? Fans cooked you. And now you're playing the victim card. Even worse. Even worse. Just come out, make a video and say, hey, I made dumbass comments, blah, blah, blah.
Let's look at this entire situation from 4 distinct angles to understand the full scope of the damage. First, you have the front office angle. The WNBA and teams like the Indiana Fever are raking in millions of dollars in ticket sales and corporate sponsorships, entirely off the back of Caitlin Clark's popularity. Second, you have the locker room angle. The persistent envy from veteran players who refuse to give Clark her proper credit is actively dividing teams and creating a toxic on-court product. Third, you have the media angle. Legacy writers are destroying their own credibility by trying to gaslight the public into thinking this hostility doesn't exist. And fourth, you have the fan angle. Millions of traditional sports fans are completely tuning out the establishment networks and turning to independent channels for honest commentary. It is a 4-layered crisis for the sport, and the corporate media is entirely responsible for fueling the fire. And here's the one thing nobody is talking about.
You're a loser, and they should revoke all your rights to ever in life be online. But, come on, man. I mean, good Lord. It's unbelievable. It really is. Tell me what you think, black and white sports supporters. Peace, I'm out. This better be the last damn video I gotta make about this guy.
Many of you in the comments section have been calling this exact scenario out for months. You saw the media bias before the mainstream networks were forced to admit it. You called out the corporate writers for protecting the league's established stars at the expense of a rookie phenom. You recognized that the old guard was terrified of how fast the sport was changing under Clark's influence. And tonight, every single one of you got proven completely right one more time. The sports public has officially revoked the media's license to dictate the narrative, and independent creators are leading the charge. When a national sports writer tries to play the victim because the public universally rejected his commentary, the credibility of the entire establishment crumbles. The fans demand accountability. They demand respect for the athletes who are actually driving the game forward, and they will not tolerate corporate gaslighting any longer. Now I want to hear from you. Is the mainstream media completely out of touch when it comes to the disrespect Caitlin Clark faces? Or are writers like Grant Young just completely unequipped to handle the passion of modern sports fans? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to hit that subscribe button, smash the like button, and turn on notifications so you never miss another raw, unfiltered sports breakdown. We are staying on top of this story as it develops. Peace out.